Robert Kiyosaki said, "Rich is measured in dollars and wealth is measured in time." For example, many people think that having $1 million makes one rich. But if your expenses amount to $100,000 per month, wealth will only be evident in 10 months. Meaning, how long you can survive without working tells you how wealthy you are. Welcome back to the JFT channel. In this video, we will be discussing how you will be able to manage your finances to maximize your financial growth. So if you think this is something that you need, or if this is something that would be helpful for you, please keep on watching. Many people ask me how I stay on top of things, how I keep myself motivated, how I manage my resources and my time. But for me to be able to answer that, one has to dig deeper and really look at the fundamentals and principles that make the person that she is. So in this video, I will be sharing my tips and techniques as to how I manage my resources, and I'm very hopeful that these will all be helpful for you. And so if you are a business person like me or are planning to build your own business, my number one tip is for you to separate your finances, personal finances, with your business's finances. Let's go back to my very first episode of Your Ultimate Life. What is your vision? What are your goals? I will explain a very simple principle that I have learned while I was building my personal insurance and investment portfolio. This is very important, so I hope that you really take a look at this principle and jot down notes if that would be helpful for you. So let's create a pie representing 80 years of life. We're using 80 years of life because this is an estimate visual of the average lifespan. During the first 20 years of life, this stage is usually spent on playing, studying, basically the growing stage to maturity. And then here comes the next 10 years. This phase is very important and is very crucial. That is because what you do in your 20s will determine where you are headed towards life. Now, don't get me wrong. I respect that each and every one of us has our own timeline. But if you are like me or you resonate with my thoughts and vision, feel free to follow along. From your 20s to 30s, this is the best time that you explore, play, find what interests you, basically for figuring out what you want out of life, what you really want to do. It's also the best time to try to save, aim to get a car, probably a house, a property, and most importantly, build your investments or insurance portfolio. This is also the reason why I have high regards for people who start so young. I started building my career when I was 19. I was still in college then, but I am amazed because there are so many people who start even earlier in life. I think one factor that has a lot to do with it is one's upbringing or what he sees around him during his formative years. Believe it or not, I've seen entrepreneurs who start as young as 7 or 13, who start building their businesses or portfolio, maybe start trading early on in life, and they get to retire early. But depending on where you are in life, I think your success also lies on how you view money. Some people think that money is the root of all evil. Do you think that's true? For me, money is not the root of all evil. Money is merely a medium of exchange. You exchange money for the goods and services that you need. If the intentions for using or spending money is evil, then that's where the problem lies. Apart from this, you know what I think leads to money problems? It's poor mindset. When my dad was still alive, he used to tell me a lot, it's not how much you earn, but how much you save that matters. So this principle was ingrained in me at a very early age, but I had to tweak it a bit, and I promise to also teach this to more and more people as possible, and also to my future children. You know what that is? It's not how much you earn, but how much you save and reinvest that matters. Kasi money won't grow when you just save it. kahit ilagay mo yan sa bangko, hindi siya tutubo na how you want it to grow unless you strategize and invest the money where it can grow at its maximum. Let me give you an example. For example, meron kang 100k income every month. Kunwari yun yung salary mo. What percentage actually goes to savings, expenses, investments? What are your financial habits? When income gets in, how exactly do you spend it? Do you first use the money to pay existing expenses or buy new items? Or do you allocate a percentage for savings before spending? So, do the math and compute accordingly. Let's say, hindi 100,000 yung income mo per month. Let's lower it down a bit to 50,000. What exactly is the percentage that you allot for savings, for expenses, and for your investments kung meron man? How do you split your salary into the 3 categories I just mentioned? You see, dito pa lang nakikita nyo, it gets harder when the income goes lower. Siguro at 100k, and for example, tinitingnan mo siya from a standpoint na hindi 100k yung salary mo, iniisip mo baka mas malaki yung percentage na pwede mong malagay sa savings, sa investments, pero paano na pag bumababa yung income mo, 'di ba? Let's say now during the pandemic, mahirap, hindi lahat ng tao may trabaho. So, mahirap maghanap ng paraan kung paano mo magagawa tong principle na to. But you know where the challenge lies here? The challenge lies on how you manage your expenses so that you can grow your savings and investments. Now, before we even go to the percentages, let me teach you one important step, and that is number 1 is for you to identify all kinds of expenses that you spend on. As in all expenses, as in all expenses that you spend on. And categorize them under 2 sections, which are your fixed expenses or needs and your wants. You are the only person who can identify expenses types. Whatever you want to spend on, nasa sayo yan. If you feel like, ito, siguro wants lang to, pero for you, importante yon, don't scrimp on yourself. Just list it down. List down everything that you spend on. If mahilig ka manood ng movies, lagay mo yun. If mahilig ka mag-eat out, lagay mo din yun. As in, lagay mo talaga lahat na expenses mo. Just be true to yourself. That's what I've been telling you since the first episode of Your Ultimate Life, diba? So, lagay mo lahat. Sample of the expenses na bukod dun sa mga na-mention ko would be your transportation, your groceries, your food, your, what else? Your rent, if you're renting, or if house amortization kung binibili mo, or if you're currently paying for a car loan, lahat lagay mong expenses. If you have insurances that you are also currently paying, existing siya, ilagay mo rin siya as an expense. So basically, lahat talaga ng pinagkakagastosan, lagay mo talaga dun sa listahan mo. For once, basically, these aren't fixed expenses, but are necessary also for you to go through life. Of course, we can't just work without even enjoying the fruits of our labor. So, important din yun that you identify what you want out of life. List mo rin siya dun. So, mapapansin nyo, dito pa lang, mapapaisip ka na, syempre habang nililista mo siya, diba? Don't worry, nung ginawa ko rin to, habang nililista ko, lahat ng expenses ko, doon naisip ko, shucks, ang dami ko palang expenses. Okay lang yan, lagay mo lang lahat. That's very important. That's really a very important step in this process. So, now that you already wrote everything sa list mo, it's time to ask, does your income match your lifestyle? Or does your income match the lifestyle that you want? Masakit yun na tanong, di ba? Lalo na pag kunwari, ikaw yung type of person na ang dami mo talagang gusto, you're really a spender. It's really a hard truth, and you have to go through it. Don't worry, because this episode isn't supposed to make you feel sad about it. This episode is supposed to make you realize what you can do, meron kang magagawa for you to be able to match the lifestyle that you want. Hindi siya parang, shucks, hindi ko na to pwedeng bilhin kasi na-point out ko na siya. Meron kang pwedeng magawa, and so, we will discuss that later on. Now that you're done with your list of expenses, it's now time to determine where your savings will go. So, diba, na-list mo na expenses mo. Ngayon naman, for me, this is the fun part, yung savings. I'm sure it's not just me, but I wanna know, ganun din ba kayo na when you're saving, sumasaya ka or parang iba yung feeling mo, parang mas gusto mo pang mag-save ulit, mag-ipon na mag-ipon. Ganun yung nararamdaman ko, and this process, this technique really works for me, and I'm excited to share it with you. Para kayo din mismo, ma-experience nyo yung feeling na nagsisave. Katulad nito. We won't just allow our savings to be just savings. Kailangan mag-grow siya into more sources of income for you. Examples of where savings would go would be emergency fund, retirement fund, and as I've mentioned, investments. This is my favorite part because it makes your money work for you and not the other way around. You have to be able to find a way for your money to grow while you are sleeping. More on that I will share on my next episode, but that is really one of my principles, money principles. So now we're done listing everything. We're done listing our expenses. We're done listing where we want our savings to go. It's time to go to the nitty-gritty and figure out the percentages that you want to allot for these 3 top categories. The most recommended budget percentage I see is the 50, 30, and 20 budget. 50 goes to the fixed expenses or needs, 30 goes to wants, and 20 goes to savings. Pero what if I share a budget that's easier to understand and that works for me, which I feel is way better than this variation? For me kasi masyadong maliit yung 20% savings. My tip and the goal here is for you to minimize the percentage of your savings and actually get to save more, or mas malaki yung maitabi mo from your income to savings into investments. Kasi that is the only way that your money will grow. Syempre, when you spend it on expenses, goodbye na yun sa money mo. Kung naman ni-retire mo lang siya as savings, hindi rin siya lalaki as how you would want it to grow, as I've said earlier. I've always had a bird's eye view point of view, and I always want to keep things simple. Yung madali sa akin intindihin, madaling sundin, madaling i-follow through. So I follow a 50-50 split. How exactly does this work? 50% goes to savings, 50% goes to expenses. Pwede nyo sabihin, "Nako Jamie, paano yun? Ubus na yung money ko agad, hindi ko na ang dami kong gastusin." Hold on, we will get there. Let's go back to the 100K income example. If you follow my variation, which is 50-50, 50% goes to savings, 50% goes to expenses. So that's 50,000 and 50,000. Sa pinaka-important tip ko would be mag-save ka muna before mo gamitin yung money mo to spend. Kahit na existing expenses yan, kahit na paparating na expenses or yung mga gagawin mo expenses, it's very important that you automatically itabi mo na agad yung percentage na gusto mo for savings and itira mo yung para sa expenses mo. I would also suggest that you open a different bank account for your savings and keep a separate bank account for your expenses. Later, I will explain more about that. But this is very important para makita mo and para ma-keep track mo, ma-monitor mo closely yung sarili mo na hindi ka nag-spend way beyond your allocated budget or hindi ka nagsasave below your allocated budget. Under the 50-50 split, you can go as detailed as allocating percentages for the categories or the expenses or the savings na nilista mo kanina. Knowing me, sobrang, I'm OC in a lot of things, and lalo dito sa Money Matters, I'm very detailed when it comes to looking at my finances. So, I really allocate certain percentages to the expenses na nalist ko kanina. So, for expense, if you go lower than your allocated expense, kunwari, 50,000 yung inallocate mo expense, and then you only got to spend 30,000, yung 20,000, i-roll over mo siya for the budget next month. It's important to try your best not to go beyond your allocated budget unless spending more this month will make you save the next month. Now, I'm more interested in what you do with what you save. Best if these are passive investments or new businesses that make you earn more income. In my next video, I will be sharing with you how you can grow your income streams so that you can maximize the savings that you allocated for these categories. Kasi if you do this, you won't only just have one income stream, it will eventually become two, and then the two will eventually become three, and so and so. The goal is to make these new investments even bigger or more sufficient than your active source of income so that you will be able to live comfortably without stretching yourself too thin. So this part will help you grow and make you get out of the situation that you're not living your ultimate best life. So I know the 100k income example does not really work for everyone or does not really work for a lot of people. Buti sana kung ganun yung income ng lahat ng tao, why not, 'di ba? Pero let's say, what if yung income stream mo is just between the range of 20 to 25k or 20 to 30k a month? Kung ganito, 50-50 split. 12-5 goes to savings and 12-5 goes to expenses. Eh, what if may family ka na? Kaya ba? Mahirap, 'di ba? Transport, food pa lang, parang sagad na eh. Kaya yung mas nire-recommend na ratio is the 50, 30, and 20 split. Pero kung ikaw yan, where would you rather put your money? Would you rather put it sa wants mo or sa investments muna? Wherein you can grow the money and then eventually, mabibili mo rin yung wants mo. Marami kasi akong kilala, maliit na nga yung income nila, pero they choose to spend it on things na nagde-depreciate pa. Let's say, may bago akong sweldo, bibili ako ng bagong phone. Pero yung phone, it depreciates eh. Unless you use that as an asset to build more income for you, if gagamitin mo siya to make you produce more income for yourself, that's the only time wherein you can justify your expense. I really believe in delayed gratification. Na save up first, and then buy what you want for yourself later on pag kaya mo na. This will yield better results in the long run kesa naman spend now and cry later, 'di ba? Marami kasi talagang taong ganun, not living within their means, and then hindi na nila alam what they're gonna do in the future. This is not to say that you shouldn't enjoy your present, but also be responsible enough for you to be able to look after your family, look after yourself, kasi posible naman siya eh, kung gugustuhin mo, may paraan talaga. Dito na pwedeng pumasok na yung 25,000 mo, let's say, ginawa mo yung 50, 30, 20. 50 of that, 12,500, diba? 30% of 25,000 is 7,500. Kesa ilagay mo yun sa wants mo ngayon, bakit kaya hindi mo muna siya ilagay sa new investments or new businesses na pwede mong gawin? Yung 7,500 mo na yun, pwede na maging puhunan yun for something that you can sell, something that you believe in. Then, pwedeng bumalik sa yung 7,500 mo, maging 10,000, maging 15,000. Not bad, diba? Now, when you get the 15,000, masarap mag-save eh. Kumita ka doon, ipaikot mo ulit. Gawin mo ulit, maghanap ka ulit ng other source of income for you. That is the only time na pag nakita mo na, wow, nag-grow na tong negosyo ko more than my active source of income, doon mo makikita, posible pala na hindi maubos lahat ng pinaghihirapan mo. Kasi kailan ka mag-iisip pag nag-retire ka na? Paano ka magre-retire, 'di ba? Kung hindi mo nisip kung paano ka magkakaroon ng retirement fund. Hindi mo pwedeng iasa 'yon na sa anak ko na lang kasi may anak naman ako. It really doesn't work that way. So it will just become a cycle for your entire family. So again, what I said kanina, minsan hindi yung money yung root of all evil eh. Ang problema dito, yung poor mindset mo. Yung poor mindset mo na nagsasabi na, okay lang to, sige, kailangan ko i-reward yung sarili ko. Bakit may i-reward yung sarili mo? Para saan? Kailangan i-reward mo yung sarili mo sa tamang ginawa mo as you build your money habits. So, it can all change as long as you want it to change, as long as you want to grow in this journey. So the aim is to make the percentage for your expenses lower and lower as possible. The bigger income gets, the more that you get to save sana, or the more that you get to save and reinvest your money. Unless the expense, as I've said kanina, appreciates. I can just go on and on about this topic, and I will share more about my thoughts on my next videos. I hope that you learned a lot from this intro to financial management and budgeting. I hope that you get to apply my tips to your own journey towards your financial growth. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again on the next one. Bye!